Throughout the year and a half of COVID-19 classroom shutdowns, there was a healthy debate as to the negative impact on Montgomery County students from a lack of in-person learning and the reliance on virtual teaching. Now there is some data that indicates that after more than a year of virtual classes, MCPS students are less prepared to meet math and literacy proficiency benchmarks than students in previous years. Sam, an article in Bethesda Magazine reports that literacy data presented for the overall student population declined 35% for second graders, 23% in the fifth grade, 10% in the eighth grade, and down 9.2% in 11th grade. And the declines were even sharper for students of color. Did MCPS fail these children?
Casey, in my opinion, MCS has been failing our student population for years, especially when you look at the instances and the grade scores of students of color. We've done just an abysmal job. When it comes to the result of this recent COVID and how it's affected the school system, not only here in Montgomery County, but also throughout the rest of the nation, I'm going to take a really radical approach. What I think we should do is we should just erase this past school year. Those kids that have done very well on virtual learning can progress. Those kids that have not, for a variety of reasons, should just, I hate to say the word repeat, but continue in the grade where they were. I think that's the balanced way to do it and the fairest thing to do. You know, I'm a parent, and of course, I always wanted my kids to go to college, as we all do. And it took me, a while to reach the determination that if my child misses a year of college, they're still going to do okay. And they did. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think we have to be so locked into K through 12, immediately jump into school. And at least within Montgomery County, we have wonderful programs sponsored by the trades and worked on with the trades that allows people to make a really great income without a college degree. And we certainly have put a lot of tools in place in the medical profession, biotech, and education here within the county to give people more opportunity. And that's kind of my view on this.
Well, that was a little broader answer than I wanted really to focus on the decision to go to virtual learning and how effective it was. And so I'm going to ask that question of Phil. There was similar data released regarding performances in math with shocking results. And so it was the decision to go to virtual learning as opposed, and, I guess because, you had to weigh the safety of the students versus the learning capabilities of the students, the right decision.
Absolutely not. It wasn't. First, I want to say I agree with some of what Sam said. Just in an overall sense, we do need to focus on moving people away from the idea of thou shalt go to college. But more to the point here, there was no reason beyond a relatively small period of time where there was a lot of great concern about what was out there for virtual learning. Look, part of the learning process isn't just sitting there and hearing from a teacher, this is 2 + 2, this is 3 + 4. It's being able to study with your friends and fellow classmates. It's learning how to overcome a difficult test. It's doing all of that in that environment. Without that, not only did it make it more difficult for them to learn and understand and take that knowledge with them, but now they are at, as Sam did mention, a disadvantage in terms of their age. While we may not know how long we're going to live, the amount of time that we have to learn and prepare ourselves to be adults is finite. And therefore, that year was taken away needlessly behind COVID. So
let me cut you off and ask you Sam's suggestion that we have those that aren't proficient repeat a grade. Is that going to be acceptable to Montgomery County parents?
It wouldn't be acceptable to me. This is where those students who have been hurt by the actions of the adults in society are going to have to figure out on their own how to overcome it. It's harsh, but this is what happened. And this is why we have to be circumspect about this sort of thing in the future and never let it happen again.
So
Sam, I want to go back. I want to go back to your premise about having students repeat a grade, and that's effectively what it is. I mean, that would be a political hot potato. Does anybody really have the guts to make that proposition?
Casey, I don't know whether they have the guts or not, but that certainly is going to be the end result any way you look at it. Kids that did well with virtual learning are going to continue to move on, and kids that didn't, and unfortunately, that's a lot of students who are hurt by virtual learning are going to be lost, and they have to get that education someplace. Let's just have summer school for math and for English proficiency. I think that'll help a lot. And I can tell you that all of the teachers that I know, including several within my family, they're not surprised by these statistics. They were teaching virtually. They realized what they got out of it and what the students got out of it. And they're very disappointed in this academic year. They feel that they couldn't get the job done. And I agree with them. So come up with whatever answer you want. I want to see a solution. And my solution includes helping those kids that didn't do well virtually to either catch up or move forward. And I think that's what needs to be done. Whether people have the political, courage to do so is beyond me. And I guarantee you that the parents that have kids in private schools where this is not an issue, I don't see where they would object. And if I was a parent of a student of color, I'd certainly push for it. And if I was a member of the school board, I would absolutely enforce it.
Well,
But Sam, all your solutions are asking these students to pay for bad decisions of administrators, and that's wrong.
well,
Not bad decisions of administrators, being
Bad
at a
decision.
situation where a person cannot go to school comfortably without getting sick. And I
well,
will
we got to wrap it up because
Can I finish? And now that we can give inoculations between 5 and 12, I think the schools are going to open up. Just let's give it about another 90 days and see what happens.
Well, we'll talk about the inoculations for COVID in a later segment and whether that's advisable for young people. But before we go on to our next topic, I just want to mention that long-term school board member Patricia O'Neill passed away last week. She'd been on the school board for over 20 years. And I thought she was a very high-class lady, and I honor her service to our community. So I just want to say my condolences to her family.